we were talking a little bit about mental health, and I know Dre, you're big in the mental health space. We're always curious, like, what has your mental journey been like? Has there been a moment in your life where you've maybe had the most mental struggle, and what did you do to overcome it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a real thing. I think like 10 years ago, it was like you probably was looked at as weak if you like was having like a like it's like especially as men, it's like we gotta just be tough. Like we human too, you know what I'm saying? Like and we, that stuff is real life. You know, I think that was like I was having those type of problems in college, but I didn't have the resources to help me through those situations. But nah, I would definitely say like I have different forms of what I consider to be therapy, and talking to God, reading my Bible, just having that peaceful time and just keeping balance on. It's like can't get too high, can't get too low. We got to stay grounded. But just having good people to talk to and like a good counsel, and like perspectives to weigh things through, because it's hard just figuring everything out on your own, especially when you're young and you ain't been through certain situations yet. So definitely having good people to lean on.
Welcome back to episode 20 of Breaking House Rules. I'm Cam Wolf, here with Dre, here with Vaughn, and we're here with a special guest in the building, a 9-year NFL vet, over 5,000 yards, been balling everywhere he goes. Chosen, appreciate you.
So appreciate it, bro.
Welcome.
Chosen, first of all, we've seen you at different aspects of your career, whether it's with the Jets, whether it's with the Panthers, whether it's with the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the 49ers. Where are you now? What's next for you? What do you hope going forward? What's that experience?
I'm just waiting for that great opportunity, go be my best, and everything that I've learned throughout my career, from the mental aspect, leadership aspect, and then my evolution in my craft, just waiting for the opportunity to go apply it.
So that's another team. You still want to play? You want to?
Sure.
You've been working out?
Yeah, for sure.
So what does that prep look like? Like you're not necessarily gonna like try to go to OTAs. Are you gonna go to OTAs? Do you get ready before OTAs, or is it something that you're kind of like, I'm gonna just do my own workouts, leading up to the summer season, things like that?
Nah, I'm staying ready, so I don't gotta get ready. But I feel like being a receiver going to OTAs, like you got to, you know what I'm saying? Like to have like that success and that chemistry, being in the system, being in the offense, and then where I am with leadership, I want to be around the team to build that camaraderie and, help and just be a part of building. I feel like that's why I learned like, early on in my career, I was kind of more opposed to those, or then going through like contract situations where I was kind of like, quote unquote, holding out essentially to an extent, but I want to be in the building.
Yeah, for sure. I know when I got to know you and when Vaughn got to know you were with Miami and you got to go home, place that you had been. What was that experience like for you? Like the pros, the cons of coming back home to a team where you had opportunity, then you didn't have opportunity. Like, take us through that.
Nah, I would say the pros of it was beautiful. Playing for the Dolphins, it's you in paradise. It had that perspective on going home to my own house at the end of the day, being able to see my family when I wanted to, I truly enjoyed that. It's just the con of it was not being able to have the opportunity to produce how I had expected to, how I worked to, and how I felt I was capable of.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Where does that fruitfulness come from? Like, for your situation, I know, especially that last time in Miami, you signed and you're on the practice squad and you're on the roster. Like, what is that journey like, especially for you, who had been the pinnacle? You had been number one receiver, big contracts. Like, how did you deal with that mentally?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, I would say, I kept my head down and kept working. Obviously it wasn't ideal. And I feel like for me, I kind of put myself in a situation where the player that I am, my contract put me in a boat where, you know, I could be in that quote unquote system or that pool of, you know, being elevated, being pulled down, pulled up. But, you know, I don't feel like it reflects me as a player, my work ethic and what I established myself of. But, you know, it's tough just knowing that that's like some guys literally like their whole career and how hard it is to kind of get out of that, and me trying to overcome that now. Like, it's tough, you know what I'm saying? It's the tough side of the business, you know. It's all tough, you know what I'm saying? It's all hard. Being an NFL player is like that 1%, but, you know, it was difficult. But what kept me going through it was knowing my purpose and being there was not just myself. And I was there to help us trying to accomplish a goal of being a Super Bowl. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be on Scott team and make them boys better for game day, and it's gonna pay off in the long run, and take advantage of the day and make the most of it. So
how was it playing for Mike? Obviously he's known as being an offensive genius, really creative offense. What was that whole experience like playing with him?
Nah, it was cool. I feel like my time in Miami took my game and my craft and my mental as a football player to another level. I feel like I learned a lot, and being in the room with Reek and Waddle and competing against them every day, and, you know, learning from Wes Welker. Like, I feel like it really took my game to another level to where it is now. Just the time hasn't been shown. The time hasn't given for me to show that exactly just yet.
Yeah.
So how does your faith play a part in that, like, resilience?
Yeah.
From, you know, going through hardship or having success, going through hardship, and navigating the ups and downs of, you know, being in the league.
That's what keeps me going. That's what's kept me grounded, and that's what kept me alive, I would say, in understanding that in my purpose and what I'm going through, and just basically giving me the answers to keep going every day.
You mentioned, go ahead.
I was gonna say in 2014, like, you know, talking about hardship, you transitioned from DB to receiver in 2013. You had a great season, and I want to ask you about that. But then following that season, you had to sit out for the 2014 season, and I wanted to ask how, you know, your faith and that experience kind of geared you up for the experience at NFL. But first, I want to say, ask you about the 2013 season, how that transition was.
What, playing DB?
Playing DB, you didn't go to receiver.
Man, DB was lit. I was so mad when I had to go back to receiver, like, cause I was in meetings and I'm like, man, I never really liked playing receiver my whole life, honestly. I never really liked playing. I like scoring touchdowns, but like DB was like home, cause you on your own, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to think as much as you reacting. But I was in meetings one day and I was like, I ain't got time to keep learning all these plays. So I was like, coach, I just want to play corner. They let me go out there. And then week 1, I was doing good at corner. I was doing great spring, all that. And then week 1, all them boys got hurt the first game of the year. So they had to put me back at receiver. But then coming out at my pro day, they had me work out at DB. And then the Seahawks, they wanted me at corner. And the Chiefs and the Raiders offered me more money to come play corner. But my agent was like, I don't really know if you should, because you don't have no film to back it.
Right.
So I went to the Jets to play receiver, but
and that was a pretty stacked room. I mean, at the time, Brandon Marshall was on the team.
Yeah, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker.
Yep.
And then they ain't really had like no true vertical deep threat though. So that's why I was like, and my agent was kind of pushing for me to go there. He felt like, cause I don't know, for whatever reason, he felt strongly about me going there. And then with the situation, what you were saying with 2014, it was tough. How it started to how it became was like that saying, like I had to sit down and eat that humble pie, because I kind of figured like the plan was I was gonna get back into school by the season, so I was just, you know, just kind of just vibing on my own time. And then when I went up there to meet with them, that's when it kind of sunk in, and I had to sit back and like really see it from the outside looking in. And like honestly, last season kind of reminded me of that essentially, because that was my first time. Like I never been, by the grace of God, I never been hurt. You know, I probably missed like one game my whole career. So last year was like I had to sit back, and it gave me that opportunity to see like I really still want to do this. I'm really still hungry.
Right.
But the days when I felt like, damn, like I missed it, like I just took myself back. Like, bro, 10 years ago, I was kicked out of school, and none of this was even a thought. My only thought was just getting back into school.
Right.
So this is what my faith has brought me. So it's like 10 years later, I'm kind of in a similar situation, but nowhere to that extent, and just knowing that, you know, anything you can overcome, you know, adversity, that's just life.
Yeah. Adversity is so interesting. Like, as you tell your story, I think about how many kids may have been in a similar situation in school and went the other way. Like, you get kicked out of school, you get suspended, whatever, and it's easy to go back home to what you grew up on, chasing whatever the appeal is when people, like, what prevented you from going backwards and still chasing your dream and you know, making it as an undrafted free agent?
I would say getting that opportunity to see what that reality would have been, you know, like just being transparent. Like, I went to jail, like when I was a kid out of school, and then being a regular student in school and like kind of realizing like the small things I took advantage of, and like this what my life could be if I don't become a football player, like becoming like a quote unquote, you know, a F up, you know what I'm saying? So that was everything I needed to see, and I feel like that was probably my blessing in disguise coming into the NFL, to where I didn't take nothing for granted. You know, even coming in undrafted, I was like, it could be a lot worse than this, you know?
Right.
Was there someone around you at that time too that was kind of being that, I guess, equilibrium for you to bring you back and say, hey, don't go this way. You got to come back this way, and we're going to help you to get back on the right path. Was there someone around you at that time?
Yeah, I would say it's like so much evaporated around me, because I went from being up here to just being like not necessarily a laughing stock, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody really don't want to see you win. They want to see you win when it's beneficial, but around that time, it was my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, my phone wasn't ringing, nobody wasn't checking for me, and that was who kept me going. Like, even like we would be in the front of the house playing catch, you know what I'm saying? Like, and she was helping me get through school, all that. So I would say like my mom was definitely there no matter what through that situation.
On to the best.
For you, you bounced between South Florida and Jersey growing up?
Yeah.
Give us an idea of, like, obviously we live in South Florida, but what's Jersey experience? We got somebody here who's gonna be close to Jersey too. Like, what's your Jersey experience?
Jersey, cool, especially where he gonna be at compared to where he was with the Jets. You gonna be closer to where I grew up at, but now Jersey cool, especially in the summertime. I like Jersey. Like, when it get cold, but where he is, he it's lit because he close to the city. The Giants, they close to the stadium, so it's nice. Jersey cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jersey real cool, it's chill. It's a nice place to live.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, Giants, Jets, what was that relationship like when you were there? Like, the teams, like, did you connect with players that were there because you were in the same city, or how did that vibe?
Yeah, like, so I ain't used to go out like that, but I know like them boys used to go out together, hang out together. But it was all love, but you know, they say the Jets is like the ugly stepbrother. And the Giants is the one everybody love. But I grew up a Giants fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my favorite team growing up. The Giants, like when they was going to the Super Bowl, Patriots, Plaxico Burress, like Eli Manning, Marty Toomer, all them. So that was my team growing up. But nah, it'd be cool though. Like the preseason game though, Jets versus Giants, it'd be lit. But like when the Giants, the home team, is like that blue, like electrify off the lights a little bit more than the green because of the tone of the color. But
that green ugly.
yeah, division rival. That's dope though. That's dope. So you got to play for two, because I mean you split time from Miami and Jersey, so you basically got to play for two home teams. So how was that? How was that playing for the Jets, man? You got that extension, 4 years, $20 million extension, 30 a year. Like, what was that like, and how was that adapting to the environment of being an undrafted free agent and then earning a big contract back at an area that you would call home?
No, the Jets, I didn't sign my extension with the Jets. I signed with the
extension. With the Panthers.
Yeah.
My bad.
With the Jets though, it was a cool experience. Like, I never would have thought I would have played for the Jets out of all teams. I never would have thought I would have played for the Jets. I don't know why.
Like, was Mark Sanchez the quarterback at that time?
Nah, Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith.
Oh yeah.
But with the Jets, it would have been nice to sign my extension, but the things just never got to that point. You know how that junk go.
I'm already know.
So it just never really got to that point. And then Carolina, they came to the table and it made sense. But it would have been nice, to have my whole career at that one team. But that's not how it always go.
Right. So obviously you sign out a deal with Carolina after those strong years in New York. You get money, you get fame, you get everything that comes with it. How did you handle those aspects of it?
Yeah, I was locked in on improving myself because with the Jets, I never touched 1,000. Like my second year, I was at like 940. So when I went to Carolina, like that was my thought process. Like I wasn't, and it was COVID year too. I feel like that was like a blessing, like it being COVID and getting paid, like because it's like, what was I really gonna do with the money? Just buy stuff and sit at home. So it was like, you know, it was a blessing. Only thing that would have been, I feel like would have been dope was that if there was more going on, because like I came off 1,000, but there wasn't Super Bowl like that, and you know that media dynamic to really capitalize on building the brand and whatnot. So you know that was the only thing. But yeah, I was just focused on establishing myself as the receiver I knew I was.
Right. Throughout your career, and we've talked about this, you kind of have had this thing of people have perceptions of who you are, right? Like I know you said like you don't like being misunderstood, you know, whether it's time with the Jets and perceptions there of what he is or isn't doing, Carolina, this and that. Like who is Robbie Chosen or Chosen at this stage, and what do you wish people knew about you?
I would say I'm a chill dude. I think sometimes people look at me and they think like I look mean. Like it's just like, nah. You know, they say looks can be deceiving because sometimes you could be smiling and you really a mean person. So it's like I'm a thinker. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm an observer. I'm a very like kind person. Like my heart is gold. You know, sometimes that could probably be my downfall because I do so much for people, and it's like it's not reciprocated or it's never enough in things. You know, I'm a husband, a father, family man. You know, just a kind-hearted person with a good heart. And, you know, we've all made mistakes. And I would say the position I'm in, my mistakes have been publicized, but it's always authentic. Like, it's not really no black and white with me. And just a caring person, you know, just a good person.
I think it's common amongst those type of people. Like you're always a giver and a giver and a giver. And not that you expect something in return, but I don't know, you want some sort of validity. It's like, hey, like I'm doing good. Like, why is no one appreciating this? It's a weird spot to be in.
Yeah. It's important, especially with men, like our mental health, to know who we are and being comfortable in who we are, even when the world tells us maybe that isn't okay. Like, you know, it's a interesting space.
You mentioned your family, married man, right? Your wife is part of reality TV now. How's that experience been?
Man.
Yeah. Wax the riches.
Yep.
Ain't my cup of tea. I was there to support her. Now it was cool though, like for her to see her dream, you know, come true, and like people that know her, they know the kind, sweet person she is. So for that to be publicized and, you know, for her to be that light, but yeah, all that. Yeah, I don't know.
I watched the show, and I think she painted herself in a great way. I think it was surprising a lot of the things that went down. Like it was kind of like shocking. But I think she handled herself very well, and I think that like, you know, that kind-hearted person that you said that she is, it showed through the show.
Right, for sure.
It's an interesting aspect of like reality TV because people want to know inside of lives, y'all lives, but even like y'all significant other lives. Like, what is that like? What is
they was trying. I'm like, nah, I can't. I know the difference between entertainment and intimacy. I can't get that deep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You had to protect your privacy to some extent,
right?
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about the element of being misunderstood, right? And there's been moments in your career that have been publicized, and I want to use this time to like give you an opportunity to give perspective of who you are. Like I remembered the moment in Carolina where, you know, as you just going off the peak of your career, you're over 1,000 yards, you're balling, and then you got an interim head coach and Steve Wilkes who's probably trying to do things his way, and all of a sudden I see a headline, you know, Robbie Chosen kicked off the field or whatever. What happened in that situation for you, and like how did you deal with the backlash that came with that?
Yeah, that was like, you know, that thing they say like a snowball effect. Like it was that situation like kind of led up prior to, you know, and I would say like I kept walking away from the situation. Me and the coach kept walking away, But it's like sometimes you got to, when you have a situation, you got to come together as men or have somebody to mediate the situation to kind of like dissolve it. But it was like in the midst of that happening, Coach Rule got fired and Steve Wilkes came in.
Right.
I had already requested for a trade, so it was just like a lot of different moving parts. But looking back, the best thing I could have just did was just walked away from the situation. But that's easier said than done in the heat of the moment, especially when you in game mode too, and that energy flowing and all that. But you know, I hated that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it broke my heart. Like even going in the locker room, like I remember how frustrated I was because I'm like, dog, like I know when I'm out here, I'm doing this like for all of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like I'm being kicked out the game when I'm just want to be out there to make it happen. But how I handled the situation, like the back and forth with me and the coach, you know, that wasn't the time and the place for it. But you know, the backlash of it, I ain't really pay too much. Like I was always at peace with it because I knew my heart and God knew my heart. You know what I'm saying? And I take my accountability for everything. And you know, you just got to keep it pushing sometimes. So. You know, I didn't really too much like, you know, people gonna have their opinion always from the outside looking in. And that's why sometimes too, when certain situations, I don't really try and go too deep in like trying to explain something because people gonna think what they want to think regardless. And those that need to know gonna know. So,
no doubt.
You know.
Yeah. On the other side of that, you had a very fun social media thing that kind of blew up with the Panthers. Well, you know, what's that bear?
Oh yeah.
When you think about that now and people attaching you to that, what do you think? You know, that moment on the sideline as you probably just being you.
Yeah, nah, I was just genuinely, I'm like, the first thing I see, I'm like thinking it's a bear, but we still need to shoot our commercial.
Oh, with the Panther?
Yeah, me and the bear, yeah. I mean the Panther, yeah.
It do kind of look like a bear. To be fair,
He
like
was
it's black
standing
and
up.
it's yeah.
You
remember that moment, Mom?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about mental health, and I know Dre, you're big in the mental health space. We're always curious, like, what has your mental journey been like? Has there been a moment in your life where you've maybe had the most mental struggle, and what did you do to overcome it?
Yeah, nah, I think that's a real thing. I think like 10 years ago, it was like you probably was looked at as weak if you like was having like a like it's like especially as men, it's like we gotta just be tough. Like we human too, you know what I'm saying? Like and we, you know, that stuff is real life. You know, I think that was like I was having those type of problems in college, but I didn't have the resources to help me through those situations. But nah, I would definitely say like I have different forms of what I consider to be therapy, and you know, talking to God, you know, reading my Bible, just having that peaceful time and just keeping balance. You know, it's like can't get too high, can't get too low. We got to stay, you know, stay grounded. But just having good people to talk to and like a good counsel, like perspectives to weigh things through, because you know it's hard just figuring everything out on your own, especially when you're young and you ain't been through certain situations yet. You know, so definitely having good people to lean on.
You felt like you've evolved in that space, like especially mentally. Like I'm listening to you, and I can sense a different maturity than maybe you had early in life. Like that's something that you feel like mentally you've been intentional on.
No, for sure, and I would definitely say life experiences shape that. Just experiences, and that's the beauty of life. We go through things, but when you go through things, you have the opportunity to grow through things. You know, and those I feel like we are here to help each other. You know, I feel like that's the biggest blessing is being a blessing. So you know, my experiences, I can help people that ain't go through that experience yet and teach them so they don't have to. You know, you're gonna still go through your own tribulations. You might not realize it, but why not try and be an asset to somebody's life? You know what I'm saying? If that could have helped me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What would be that piece of advice that you would leave to someone, you know, that might be lost, you know, they're 18, 19 years old, kind of lost in their own ways? What would be that piece of advice you'd leave them?
I mean, it depends on and like what they're going through necessarily, but I feel like a lot of times people get caught up in the wrong thing, like figuring like success is tangibles or like you're not successful because you don't got this car,
Right.
things like that, or like the wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
materialistic.
yeah, like, because a lot of people, some people, they appear and such, but that ain't who they are within.
Right.
You know, I believe like happiness is within, not just buying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I would say just pursue like what you believe in yourself and put the work in and do it. And sometimes a lot of people gonna tell you can't. Like a lot of people told me growing up I wasn't gonna be an NFL player. I was always too small. I was too skinny. That's usually people telling you that 'cause they see something in you that they wish they saw in themselves. So you know.
Yep.
That's real.
That's real for sure.
As you know, obviously you're a receiver, and I'm curious your perspective because you've had a lot of highlights in your career. You play with a lot of different players, and as you talk about evolution, I think about a couple players who you've played with who have evolved to different elements even as your time together has changed, like Sam Darnold. Y'all played together in Carolina. I remember covering the Panthers at that time, and there was a thought, oh, Sam's going to be this and that, and it didn't work out. But then he goes out and balls out, you know, in a different perspective, and now he's getting a big deal. What do you remember about your time with Sam and maybe how his evolution has happened since New York, since Carolina?
Nah, man, I always respect this cause he's a real like football player. Like he's somebody you want to play, you want to be on the same team with, cause he's about football. Like he just has that aura and that demeanor, like that work ethic, and he wants to be successful. He's not caught up in that he's a top pick, you know what I'm saying, first round pick from USC and all the hype and all that. Like he wants to be great. He wants to be a winner, and he's always worked hard. He's always been determined.
Yeah. Another guy, South Florida guy, Teddy Two Gloves. Yeah. You had your 1,000-yard season with him in Carolina. Now he done won a state title as a coach and done all his things as a player. What do you think about? I see you smiling when you think about your time with him.
Man, Teddy changed. I feel like Teddy wanted to change my life. You know what I'm saying? Like on the football field, he believed in me. You know, helped me get my first 1,000-yard season. But just the stuff that Teddy taught me, you know what I'm saying? Like things I was probably a little bit younger, I might have understood exactly then, but just seeing it now and just him always being a call away and just that humility and that perspective that he has and how many lives that he's changed. And like I tell him all the time, like I want him to still play in the NFL because I know he still has so much potential, but just the impact that he has with his story and what he's overcome and what he came from and continue to, you know, push through and all the success that he's attained is, you know, it's just beautiful to witness. But nah, like Teddy was like a coach out there. Yeah. Like he wasn't like, that's what I see a quarterback as, like the coach. And he was just always, and he want everybody to eat. Like he'll come up to us at practice like, bro, you got the ball yet? All right, bomb, first pass, practice. The next series, you get the ball. Like he want everybody to succeed, you know, just how he brought the team together the night before in the hotel, like how he'll like just break the team down, just everything. Like he's a special individual.
That's
He's big in his faith too.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I guess last one on the football tip for me, you obviously want to keep going. You want to keep playing and you want to do this thing for a team that's out there, you know, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
What would you say they're getting in this version of Chosen and what are you looking for in a team?
Nah, I'm just hungry, dog. Like I just want to work, prove myself and, you know, just have the opportunity to be my best. You know, I feel like all opportunity sometimes is like somebody just probably bringing somebody in, you know, like not to fill space, but like I would just hope for an opportunity where they see my value. You know, they gonna always try and find like that's just the business, like pros and cons. We all have pros and cons, but just the opportunity for me to just go out there and prove what I still am.
Hell yeah. All right, well, before we wrap it up, we always got to ask our theme for the episode, and it's what's your favorite house rule to break as a kid?
And my favorite house rule to break as a kid? I don't know.
What got your mom most upset where you would do this?
I don't know, dog. I feel like in the house I was pretty well behaved.
It was outside the house. That was the.
When I don't know. Probably, I don't know. That's a tough one because I feel like I ain't really used to be cutting up in the house from what I can remember. But
Yeah. Like for me, it was always breaking the curfew. Like that was my thing. Or whenever my parents were home, I would do something they told me not to do.
Yeah.
And I know
Mine was I used to drink orange juice out the carton, like water fall out the carton in the fridge, like late at night.
Yeah.
My mom hated when I did that.
Yeah.
I was sneaking out to go run, but I was meeting up with chicks in the neighborhood.
I don't know. Probably once I got to high school, just not coming home when I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
That's standard.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, Chosen, we appreciate you for your time. This is a dope experience. Hearing about your journey. I know you've been in the broadcast space. That's going to be the new post-career journey.
Yeah.
Keep killing it here, and we're thankful for the time you spent with us.
And I appreciate this too.
You know, on Breakin House Rules.
For sure.